So why did you decide to include me in your book?
Well, as I was writing it, I was trying to think of examples of men in my life that could kind of fit in with one of these masks, who is a good representation of these masks. So here's the thing. If we can, as opposed to feeling horrible inside, as opposed to saying that mask is on our face and it's a part of us, instead of saying, oh, they don't think I'm good enough, what you could do is take that mask to the side and say, they don't think that mask is good enough right now. So it's not actually you, it's like something separate that's on the side. I'm not sure if you checked out this section, but
the whole book, what do you mean check out this section?
Robin Williams is a great example. You know, one of the greatest comedians of all time, right? Who took his own life. And I can only imagine that, again, every probably interaction he had, people were expecting him to make them laugh, to like perform, to give a joke, to like constantly make them laugh. And I can only imagine, like, who he really was probably the character in Good Will Hunting, which was the greatest performance he gave out of all of his performances, in my opinion. The moments when he was tender, when he was loving, when he was compassionate, considerate, thoughtful, I can only imagine that's how he wanted to be a lot in his life. But he's probably never able to because people wanted to accept him for being the funny guy. And so when he would open up, I bet they were like, where's the funny guy? You know, where's the guy that makes us laugh? And so he just wanted to fit in.
I mean, it's interesting, like, using him as an example, but so I mean, a lot of comedians come from horrible backgrounds and are currently depressed. And often one theory of comedy is a way of taking pain and converting it through comedy into a safe way to make art. But the comedian themselves who does this process is often in great pain.
I remember being on a plane with him one time, and it was a Virgin flight from, I believe, LA back to New York, or it might have been New York to LA. And he was sitting right there in the front row, and I was like, oh shoot, that's Robin Williams. I was like, wow. And there was a woman sitting next to him that he didn't know. I could tell it was just like another passenger. And already he was like doing like a whole performance for her and like telling stories and stuff like that. And I'm like, this guy probably never can shut off. Because everyone wants to ask him a question or say something about Mrs. Doubtfire or the genie or whatever it is. You know, it's like, when does he get to just drop his mask and be vulnerable and just be himself? You know, whether that's vulnerable or just like chill. You know, it doesn't have to be like constantly crying or vulnerable and open. But how can you just fully be who you want to be at all times and feel accepted for that? That's the challenge. Most of us don't feel like we'll be accepted or people will still like us or love us if we're not producing one of these masks, if we're not fitting in the way that they want us to fit in.